Okay, that's weird. Anyway, so while I was in West Virginia, I decided that I was going to make a YouTube series on how my process is going from being on vacation, eating foods that I was eating, because obviously it's nothing like what I eat when I'm down here. So I decided to make this series on kind of rebalancing and bouncing back from going away and eating the foods I was. My training didn't really change too much, so that's kind of insignificant. So basically this week, I'm going to be doing all 7 days on what I'm eating, how much I'm eating, how I prepare, the grocery shopping that I do, my training. I'll also do some of that stuff. But mainly my goal with this, or all of the videos together, is to show people that I walk around at a relatively lean level. Body composition is pretty lean for the most part, and I definitely would say that I walk around like this because of the work that I do, because of the mindset I have in regards to nutrition. I have this understanding that what I'm eating on a day-to-day base is pretty much clean. Now, I do follow flexible dieting, so I get to eat the foods that I do enjoy, and I don't really feel restricted. There are some days that I'm hungry, but at the same time, I'm also putting out a lot more energy than I am consuming. And by that I mean when I wake up in the morning and I do my lunges, when I'm doing my pull-ups and my push-ups on a daily basis, when I'm doing my strength training, all of those things add up to a much larger number than the food that or the actual energy or food that I'm consuming. So essentially what I want people to see is that this time away doesn't dictate what my body looks like, because when I come back, I bounce back pretty strong. So essentially what I want to do in this opening video is show you my starting point. I'll show you some of the things that I've eaten and kind of just go through the process that I'm going to follow for this next week and show you a comparison of how I look now versus how I look on Sunday, and kind of give everybody an idea of it's okay to go on vacation and enjoy yourself. That's not what's going to dictate how you look or how you perform. What's going to dictate that is your consistency. So, with that being said, I'm going to show you what my body currently looks like so you can see my starting point. So, this is an unflexed front, unflexed side, and here we are flexed. Here we are. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm going to plan out my week, foods I'm going to need. I honestly have no idea what I have in the fridge or in the cabinets. I had a friend stay, so I don't know what she ate. But, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down a list of the foods I need, because I'm going to stick with the amount of calories that I've always been eating for about the last year and a half. And so, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so what I've done over the last year and a half, I've kind of, I wouldn't say I've conditioned my body to feed off the same things, but I do know that over the last year and a half, I've pretty much eaten the same exact breakfast every day. So I'd say about 98% of the days over this last year and a half, I've eaten a pretty large breakfast. And that consists of 2 whole wheat high fiber wraps, 5 egg whites and 1 whole egg, some Velveeta shredded cheese, and some mild wing sauce. I'm going to show you all the things that I eat and why I chose those things, aside from I like the taste. The other thing that I always have with this is a bagel with cream cheese. It is whole fat cream cheese. I don't cut corners with that stuff. I like the taste of it, so I'm going to make it fit. And so now, the first thing I used to use a fat-free cheddar cheese, and so the calories are 45, 9 grams of protein, 2 grams of carbs, and 0 grams of fat. But then I found this Velveeta shredded cheese. Now, the comparison is instead of 45 calories, it's 60 calories. There are 5 grams of protein, 3 grams of carbs, and 3 grams of fat. This tastes way better. I know there's some people that hate Velveeta cheese, but for me, that is what I like and that is what I eat. So, let me show you. This is what everything is. Obviously, I'm not going to show you the egg whites. It really doesn't matter because they're all essentially the same. 0 grams of fat, 0 carbs, 5 grams of protein, and then I use a whole egg. Now, I do bounce back and forth between a plain bagel and a cinnamon raisin bagel. Essentially, the calories are pretty similar, give or take maybe 20, but I like them because they're really big, to be honest with you. That's essentially it. So I use this, and then if I'm eating a plain bagel, I will use plain cream cheese. If I'm eating a brown sugar, or not a brown sugar, a cinnamon raisin bagel, I'll use brown sugar cinnamon cream cheese. But these are the wraps that I use. There are 50 calories per wrap, and they're 1.5 grams of fat, 16 carbs, and 4 grams of protein. This is the wing sauce that I use to put on the egg wrap. 25 calories a serving. I put 1 serving on each. And then this is the cheese. And we already went over the macros. So, in another video, or another section of the video, I will show you how I make my breakfast. It's pretty quick. It's less than 15 minutes to make and probably less than 2 seconds to eat. So aside from that breakfast meal, the other thing that I consume pretty frequently is the bison meat or steak, and then a sweet potato. And then the rest of the meals, I'm going to plan them just so I have structure, but normally in my week to week, I'm kind of eating as I go. It's not always the same, but those are 2 consistent meals. My breakfast, the egg wrap and the bagel and cream cheese, and then the sweet potato and bison. So, I'm going to make a list, make sure I know what I'm getting, and then we're going to go grocery shopping. We're going to get to work, and then I'll show you everything I got when I come back. What a lot of people send me messages on is how many grams of protein are you taking in? How many grams of fats, carbs? What's your macros? How many calories are you taking in? What I want people to understand is that your nutrition is individual to you. What works for me is absolutely not going to work for you unless you are my identical twin down to the DNA. And you're doing these same exact things with the same intensity that I'm doing. So the calories, macros of mine is essentially insignificant to you. But just so you can see what we're doing here, or what I'm doing here, is I'm taking in 2,300 calories. I've been taking in 2,300 calories for the last year and a half. I use the MyFitnessPal app. So, I don't know if you can even see that, but what I'm going to do is go through what I've eaten so far today because it's 1:12 in the afternoon. I flew in from Pittsburgh to St. Pete today, and so obviously I had to eat airplane food, which I had McDonald's. And I don't even want to get into it, but they don't have egg white products anymore at this one. I don't think that's on McDonald's, but anyway, so I track, weigh, and log everything I eat. You'll see in my mornings how diligent I am with this. And this is another thing that I totally think is why I consistently look the way I do, because I track everything down to the creamer I put in my coffee. So today so far, I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I had a banana that was about 100 grams or 100 grams, which I don't really know. I did not log that. I didn't have a scale that was weighing in grams, and frankly, that's a little too early for me, but a guesstimate is 100 grams. And then I had a medium coffee with 3 creams, and then I had 2 Egg McMuffins from McDonald's that had no cheese. So that put me at 629 calories. I'm gonna write out how many calories and my macros so that you can see that. I'm taking in 2,300 calories. My macros are as follow. It is about 175 grams of protein, 259, well, whatever. If we're basing off of the MyFitnessPal app, it's 173 grams of protein, 159 grams of carbs, and 64 grams of fat. Now, I know that this is going to go against a lot of things that everybody says. What I like to do is keep it very simple. I pay attention to my calories, I pay attention to my protein, and those are my priorities at this point. I do tend to favor carbs more, but there are days where I go over my fat and I'm under my carbs, or sometimes I'm under my protein or over my protein. Just at the same time, I try to stick to around the same amount of calories every day, plus or minus 100. But for the most part, I'm the type of person that's going to hit it pretty close to dead on, plus or minus 20 calories. I'm very much so a creature of habit, and I like to hit numbers on point. If not, I get a little bit of anxiety. So when we're looking at it, this is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see that. If not, I will put a little text box in that shows you. But it's 2,300 calories, 175 or 173 grams of protein, 259 carbs, 64 fat. That is what I'm following. So while I'm eating this meal, I kind of want to talk about what I did to get to this point, where I was, why I changed my mind, or what made me get my mind to where I am today. So on my way home from West Virginia at Christmas time, and I was watching this YouTube series on cutting, or somebody who cut from obviously a bulk state. And at the time I had competed in my first powerlifting meet, and I weighed 163 pounds at the meet. Prior to that, probably about maybe 6 to 8 weeks out from the meet, I weighed 172 pounds, I think it was. And at that point, I was traveling back and forth to West Virginia pretty frequently. I was eating like trash all the time. And I had this mindset that, oh, it's just another day. I overate, whatever, I'll get back on track. And then the next day, I would lack willpower to eat what I wanted to eat, or eat what I knew I should eat. And I essentially would just kind of fall into this snowball effect or cycle of, I already ruined it today, I'm just going to continue and eat whatever I want. So that was a lot of ice cream, a lot of, carbs. And so ultimately it made my body composition look like trash. And that was because I had no willpower and I had no drive to look a certain way. I mean, my training has essentially been the same for the last 2 years, but at the same time, I can definitely feel my intensity levels increasing as each training session passes. In another video, I'll go over my morning routine and kind of go over how that affected me. But back to the story of when I decided to start cutting or living at a leaner body composition was on my way home. I put on the cutting series on YouTube. The video kind of made me realize that I was just being lazy at that point. I wasn't taking care of myself mentally or physically. at least at my level now. So I watched the video, came home, figured out my macros, and on that day I decided, okay, I'm going to eat like this. Like, this is it. There is no more, okay, it's going to come around. I'm going to wake up the next day and I'm going to start eating exactly how I should, and then it's going to turn into, oh, I messed up, back into the cycle of not eating right again. So from that point on, I started doing it. I started eating how I should, planning my food down to where I'd go into my notes section and list off 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, back to 1 p.m. all the way through, and I would list off when I was eating, what I was eating, when I was training, when I had sessions. So I knew that, okay, this is what my day looks like. I'm prepared. I know what foods I need to have prepared. I know what foods I'm going to eat. And that way that when I went to the grocery store, I had everything I needed. I didn't wake up and be like, oh crap, I forgot, and then fall back into that cycle of, oh, it's just another day. I'll mess up, eat what I want, get back on track. But I set myself up for success. I made sure I was planned, and I kind of started there. But then that was back in the end of December. I had another powerlifting meet that I was competing in at the end of April. So from December to April, that was when I lost, I went from 163 to 156, so about 7 pounds. And I competed in my second powerlifting meet, and at that point I was like, okay, like 156 is kind of where I'm gonna fall, and that's gonna be it. But then after that powerlifting meet, I started to get more involved in flag football, so I was more cardio based. Now, I wasn't going outside and I wasn't running. At the competitions I would run, but prior to that it was maybe a lap around the field and that was it. But so my caloric expenditure didn't really change too drastically from that point to this point, but I was putting out a little bit more energy than usual. So after that powerlifting meet, I kind of fell into this cycle of flag football competitions. My training kind of changed a little bit. It was less powerlifting based and more just, I was just showing up and working out. I was still keeping it somewhat on the same lines of powerlifting, bench, squat, deadlifts. But at the same time, if I missed a squat day, it wasn't mad. But so now I'm probably about 4 to 3 months in of getting back on track with powerlifting, still keeping flag football training significant, but I'm also lunging every other day, which recently it's kind of been every day, but I'm doing that for 20 minutes, and then on my off days of lunges I'm doing 100 push-ups, 100 pull-ups, and so I'm always doing something outside of my regular training session. My training sessions last anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours. Now recently what I've been doing is I've incorporated time training. So if I write out my workout, next to it I'm writing in parentheses 10 minutes, 7 minutes, 3 minutes. That's how much time I have to complete my exercises in that group. So I'm keeping my intensity level high because I know that I'm setting my timer and I'm giving myself a specific amount of time to finish the exercises. So again, that's cutting down on the amount of time I'm actually training, but I'm also increasing my intensity level to that point where, okay, I only have this much time to complete it. I got to get it done. So my training sessions range from an hour to 2 hours, just depending. So essentially, that's kind of it. So while I was writing this down, I realized that there's one thing that I forgot to talk about that shows up pretty frequently in my nutrition, and that is the protein shakes. I get this protein shake from Costco. Just going over the macros on it, it is 2 grams of fat, 10 carbs, and 20 grams of protein. Now, I use this protein shake pretty frequently. I can use it anywhere from 1 to 4 times a day. I use that because there are some days where I don't have the luxury of coming home and making my food. Now, I get there are a lot of people who have even less of a luxury of coming home and making their food. So that's where that idea of meal prep came into play. But I don't need to meal prep. I know I can come home and I can cook my food, so I don't tend to, and I never meal prep unless I'm going on a trip, but most of the time I don't meal prep. I'll use protein shakes, hard-boiled eggs, things like that. But at the same time, so I'm not advising drinking 4 of them a day. What I am advising is I'm being prepared for my day. I know that there are some days that I'm not going to get the chance to come home and cook my food. I don't care how quickly I can put something together. It's just not in the cards for me. So I will keep those protein shakes with me and drink sometimes 4 of them a day. It just depends. So, but I wanted to make sure that this was something I included and you knew about. Okay, so I just got back from the grocery store. Well, Costco. I went to Walmart earlier and got some things that I normally get at Walmart. So I'm going to go through everything I got and then I'm going to eat food because I haven't eaten since 1 o'clock. So, and I've also sucked at taking water, and so I'm probably about 20 ounces of water. Sonny, I know. I'm sad too. Okay, so I got bananas. I got kiwi. The fruit I normally have for breakfast with some cinnamon toast, the raisin toast. So I got some apples. I don't normally get apples, but I figured, well, I'll get some. I got asparagus. I don't know why, because I don't normally eat asparagus, but I got it. No, son, you can't have it. Sweet potatoes, staple. Regular potatoes. I like them sometimes. Egg whites. More egg whites. Flank steak. So I usually get top sirloin, but flank steak is a little bit more expensive, but also a little less fat. Not that there's anything wrong with fat, but I figured I would try it. I will show you how I cut this and portion it and how I store it later. Bison, I always have bison. I ground it, or I cook it like ground meat, and sometimes I make little burgers, sliders, whatever. But then sometimes whenever I'm just trying to cook it and have it in the fridge for somewhat of a meal prep, I will just cook it like ground meat. Then I've been eating these breakfast sliders, and I normally do like a mini bagel with ham or turkey or whatever with an over easy egg on top. And so, ham. More fruit. Blueberries, not on sale, but you know, I like to make myself go poor. Regular eggs. And more protein shakes, so I'm prepared for the week. Or that actually 2 normally last me about a month. So now, cinnamon raisin bread. You're gonna notice that I literally have so much bread. It's my thing. The wing sauce for my breakfast meal. Velveeta shredded cheese, also for my breakfast meal. Like I said, more bread. Plain bagels, cinnamon raisin bagels. Mini bagels for those little sliders. Here are the high fiber Wraps. These are so universal for me. 50 calories for a wrap. I make my eggs, or I put my eggs in them. Lately I was doing a kind of like a beef cheese quesadilla with them. Super easy transportation vehicle for my food with low calories, high fiber. Ice cream. So let's look at it all together. A lot of food. Right now, I wanted to check in and show you what I'm going to be eating. It's one of my lately go-to meals, and that is a sweet potato smashed underneath of a combination of 4 egg whites and 2 whole eggs. So right now I have the sweet potato in the microwave, and I'm going to start preparing my egg whites and whole egg, 2 whole eggs. So what I need is scale. I'm going to show you how I weigh everything and how I log it on my FitnessPal app and the end product. So here we are. Egg whites, 2 whole eggs, the sweet potatoes cooking. I'm going to be weighing out my egg whites. I need 184 grams. And if you didn't catch that, what I did was I put the container on first and then I turned it on, so it is zeroed out with the container. So everything I pour into the container is now just the weight of the actual food that I will be consuming. After that, what I will do is I'll weigh out how much of the sweet potato I have, and I'll show you my trick to that too. So I've got my scale, sweet potato. So I put my plate on the scale, turn it on. I'm going to cut the ends off of my sweet potato. I don't know why. Son, come here. You want sweet potato? So right now, scale zeroed out. I'm going to set it to ounces. About 7 ounces. Smash it. I honestly don't remember what made me try this combination, but I'm telling you, with the egg yolk, it tastes really good. That's one thing I realized, is that an egg yolk is essentially like the most underutilized condiment. So, there we are. I'm going to crack. Now, I normally doing this as the sweet potato is cooking, making it quick, easy to prepare. That has you prepared in less than 10 minutes and eating in, again, probably less than 2 seconds. Okay, so I just pulled the egg combination off the stove. I forgot about it, to be honest with you, so this isn't normally what it looks like. I suck. I think we got it though. I take salt, pepper, everywhere, including my kitchen counter. I'm going to my FitnessPal app. I'm going to go to the diary for lunch, and I'm going to put in a sweet potato, and I said that was 7 ounces. Put that in, 2 whole eggs and 4 egg whites, and check. That's it. So that is about 419 calories, and the macros on it are 36 grams of protein, 10 grams of fat, and 41 grams of carbs. That's it. Okay, so I'm gonna go over my egg slider, mini bagel, ham, and 2 eggs. I spend all my money on food. Can't buy a toaster. Why am I talking to you guys like you don't know how to cook eggs? After all this is done, then I'm going to put the ham in and heat it up, put it on the bagel. Dinner, mini bagel. I'm going to use the scan bar. So when it pops up, it actually says that 2 bagels are a serving size. I'm only doing 1 bagel, so I'm going to put it as half a serving, 2 whole eggs, 2 slices of ham on each side. So we're good. Everything's logged. Right now my calories are at 315, and my macros for this meal are 26 protein, 12 fat, 27 grams of carbs. I'm not the best at cooking eggs, but I don't really know what else to talk about, to be honest. This is kind of what my life is like. I sit here, stare at food while it cooks. So here we are. What's up, son? It's a non-stick pan. Kind of like an over easy, but I don't trust myself to not break the yolk, so I'm not gonna flip them over. I'm gonna put the pan on there and let them cook over. I like to use cutting boards. 2 pieces of ham, put them in the pan. Warm them up. Not the best cook in the world or the fanciest one. Ow! Ow! One down. No gains left behind. There we go. Actually, I know I'm gonna burn my mouth. Egg slider. I had a little over 900 calories left to eat for the rest of the day. I don't really know how it ended up like that. And I really was gonna eat ice cream, but I just feel like I shouldn't today. So what I am gonna do, so I'm gonna get out what I normally have laid out for you, and then cook it, show you the end product. Less than 15 minutes to make, probably less than 10 minutes to make. I'll actually time it and then we'll see. 10 minutes or less to make, 2 seconds or less to eat. Plain bagel, egg whites, whole egg, wing sauce, cream cheese, regular cheese, high fiber wrap. So how I normally do this is I take my food scale, little pan, put it on the food scale, spray it with some Pam. Actually, what I normally do, because like I said before, I don't have a toaster, so I take my bagel and I put it on the stove now, because this one is the one that takes the longest to cook. So actually, before I do all this, I'm going to start the timer. 2, 2. Bagel, pan, on. I have the little pan on, and I'm going to put 230 grams of egg whites in the pan, and that equals 5 servings. There we go. 230, put the whole egg in there. Pan, like I said, I don't have a toaster, so everything bread that wants to be toasted needs to go on in the pan. Crisp it up, and that is essentially all I do. I let my eggs get cooked, scramble them up, and that's it. I'm pretty much just waiting for everything to cook, cleaning up, doing what I normally will do, because everything doesn't really need to be tended to right away. So with this meal, that essentially leaves me with a little over 120 calories. Normally I would eat that, but honestly, I don't think I'm going to be hungry after this. I know I'm not going to be hungry after this. So I'm probably going to leave those on the table. So I'm not cutting them out because I want to starve myself, or what I see that happens the majority of the time when I go from eating whatever I want in large amounts. When I go back to my normal eating habits, I tend to be less hungry, and so I think that's what's going on today. Also, I ate a little bit later in the day, and kind of will play a role in this is I didn't really do a lot of physical activity today. I didn't get to lunch. If I were hungry, I would definitely use that 122 calories to eat some ice cream, or I would have taken a couple more egg whites out of there and added it, reallocated it to the ice cream. But today or tonight, I'm just not feeling it. So that's pretty much where I'm at. So I'm going to continue to let these things cook and then show you the finished product. No, normally whenever I burn something, I'm not in the same room and I forget that I'm even cooking. Wraps are done. And that's it. Again, when you're weighing things, these are a couple tips or tricks that you do. So take the lid off, put the cream cheese on the scale, then turn it on. It's going to be zeroed out. We need it in grams, 16 grams on one, 15 on the other. Obviously, not like you guys don't know how to put cream cheese on a bagel. All my secrets. Now, taking the eggs, evenly separating them between the two wraps. Now, cheese. Put it on the scale, zero it out. 2 servings, 28 grams on one, 28 grams on the other. And last thing, wing sauce on the scale, zeroed out, 15 grams. 15 grams on the other. It's 29, I don't really care about that. It's just pretty close to it, and that's it, simple. Tomorrow, the game plan is I'm going to get up, go through my normal routine or morning routine, and I'm probably going to videotape the majority of my morning routine for the next series of this, or the next video in this series, because I have more time tomorrow compared to all my other days. I don't have to work until about 9:30, and so I'll wake up, go through my morning routine, videotape it, and then put together a video segment on the morning routine, and then work at 9:30, get done at 10, come home, eat food, and then go work out. So we're gonna see where I end up in 6 days, not 7. So I have to squeeze in. I didn't work out Monday because that was my last day in West Virginia, and I spent that time investing in my personal relationships. So again, that's what I want everybody to understand, is that it's okay to miss some days, and I'm really big on staying ready as a whole, and that would include both mentality, the physical aspect of myself, and the mental aspect of myself, or emotional, all tied in. And to me, when I get to go home, that's where all my family is, and I like to invest in those personal relationships, because I know if I had one biggest downfall, it would be that I don't invest enough into these personal relationships. I'm very, we could call it a loner. I do have people in my life that I keep close, and I would say I invest in 100%. But so going back to that is, tomorrow I'm going to train twice. I'm going to train chest in the morning, and then depending on how my morning goes, I will be training also legs in mid-afternoon. So I'll probably wake up, morning routine, videotape that, work 9:30 to 10. Yeah, I know, hard schedule. Anyways, come home, eat, go to the gym, train chest, and then come back home, eat some more food, and then probably go back, train legs. Tomorrow is supposed to be a squat focus day. I'm going to be doing squats and speed deadlifts. Come home, eat some more food, go to work, and go to Starbucks and work on the ebook, and then also work on my website. Okay, I ended with about 122 calories left over that I didn't consume. That's it. So I'm going to do the 360 video of my body. I didn't get a lot of water in, so not a ton of water retention today, or probably maybe a little bit more than water retention than what I'm expecting. Weigh in, full body video, and that's going to be the end of it today. $146.6. Eating food, working out, investing in ourselves, and that's going to be it.